Well, good morning, everybody. It is Lisa Copeland, and it's another day of 15 Minutes of Fierce. And today is Tuesday, December 11th. And I am on a roll right now. I am talking about, you guys know I've just spent 4 days in the country, and I call it the country of New York.
That's right.
Oh boy, Ben Stock, you're not even on screen yet. You're not allowed to talk.
I'm on screen. New York, man.
Anyways, so I have spent the last 4 days in New York doing deals, doing business, speaking. I'm still fighting this New York cold, but it has really, really struck me that to be unapologetically fierce, you've got to get into a New York state of mind. So my guest today is one of the most badass New Yorkers I know. I'm going to leave it there. He has a notorious automotive career, but we're not going to talk about that today, Brian. I'm not going to talk about the fact that you're always the number one or number two, or even number three sometimes, Honda Acura dealer in the United States of America, that you are the father of frictionless. Ooh, I think I just coined you with something new. The father of frictionless when it comes to the automotive industry. International keynote speaker. None of that matters. You are a native New Yorker. Brian Benstock, say good morning.
Proud of it. You better believe it. Proud of it. New York, New York.
Okay.
So I named it twice.
Okay, but I want to talk about what is this whole New York state of mind. I'm telling you, so I was in New York, and you and I got together and we were chatting about some stuff, and and you were the first person when I had to negotiate with these guys that I'm negotiating with right now. I'm like, I got to call Benstock, because it isn't because your automotive career, and I don't even know that I think you're the world's greatest negotiator. Let's just call it. But it's that you've got that mentality, that fierce, I don't know, negotiate or die mentality. Is that a New York thing, or is that a Brian Benstock thing?
Did you feel the energy coming out of the cement in New York?
I think it was pollution.
It's like taking your phone, right? It's like taking your phone and putting it on one of those chargers. That's what I get from the cement in New York City. The energy level is just incredible there.
But why? Why? Inquiring minds want to know. We've got people on this show right now, which everybody, I'm going to give you a call out. I'm just thrilled. I've got Brian. I'm going to give all of you a shout out today. I'm having to do it from my phone. I'm just thrilled that I've got Brian on here. And that we're live. But what is it? It isn't the cement. It's not the steam that comes up through the ground that messes up my hair. It's the people that are running me over on the street. What is the fierce mentality?
Well, you've got the best of everything there, right? I mean, we've got I think the best looking people. We've got the most money coming into New York. We've got incredible diversity coming into New York, and this melting pot of energy and excitement and expectation, I think, really raises everybody else's game. I mean, to live in New York City, the price of real estate per square foot is a head crack. So in order to be able to live in the city, you've really got to understand that and outproduce yourself. Let's face it, if you play tennis with better tennis players, you become a better tennis player. In New York, everyone's better at everything they do. So if you're in New York, that makes you better at whatever it is you're going to do. If you want to be a car dealer in New York, get used to a rent factor of $700,000 a month. Bam! We're not good because we're good. We're good because we have to be. There's no freaking choice, right?
Okay, so back up. In $700,000 a month in rent.
There's a dealer in Manhattan that has a luxury brand, and I heard the rent factor was $700,000 a month. Just the rent. Day one, bam, $700,000. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, good. Okay, now do you guys see why I wanted to get him on today? When we're talking about being in a fierce New York state of mind, there was nobody else I wanted to get on. Well, I want to do a few shout outs. Anthony's on, Chris is on, Max, Ken Walls, Craig Lockhart, who is a fellow New Yorker, I might add.
Yeah, strong
Melissa, Greg, Michael, Nick, Anthony, Laura, Dina, Trish, boy, you loaded them up today, Benstock. Melissa, Adam, Nigel, Megan, Craig.
Come on, everybody wants a little piece to them today. A little piece in the morning. Let's go, let's go.
Okay, tell me this. So this whole New York state of mind, this thing that I'm talking about, right? And so like even when I go to your car dealership, I walk in and all your guys, I mean, you're selling Hondas and Queens, like whatever, but like they're all in $1,000 suits every single day. And of course that starts with the boss. I mean, they better be, right? And, so like when you're in New York, I mean, I'm not going into a meeting in New York where I'm not in $1,000 shoes. And, and I make sure that it's the best of the best, because I know who I'm going up against. They will judge you. Why?
Well,
Why New York versus Texas? Why New York versus California? What is that mindset besides that rent factor?
I think California, I think is great. I think Texas is great. And as far as the quote unquote $1,000 suits, I was always taught to dress for success. I was always taught to dress like the people you'd like to be like. I admired at the time lawyers and bankers and the like, and so dress like them. I mean, it's nice to wear a polo shirt. I don't work at a golf course. I work at an automobile dealership. I'm selling commodities. I am a commodities broker. I'm selling commodities at $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a shot, and I should dress that way. I am not selling golf balls.
Wow, you heard it here first. It's Lisa Copeland. It's 15 Minutes of Fierce, and my guest this morning is a pop-in because I am on this whole New York state of mind. And so I've got a New York car dealer, one of the top car dealers in the country on the show today. There's a lot of non-car people on the show. Brian Benstock, the Vice President and General Manager of Paragon Honda, and what I like to coin him the father of frictionless. But there's just, so I just got back from New York. I've been doing a lot of deals in New York lately, and it just gets down to I'm just like, when I get back, I come there and I feel the energy. It's Christmas. I want to go shopping. By the time I leave, I'm like, I want to kill somebody, but in a good way. Like, bring me another deal. It's like, it just does something to you, right?
Lisa, it's a Goggins mentality. And for those of you that don't know David Goggins, Google Goggins, YouTube Goggins, buy his book. He's at another freaking level. And I'm telling you, I thought Grover was a beast. I thought Kobe's a beast. No, Goggins is a beast. Go there if you dare, because this guy's off the rails. By the way, caveat, he's gonna say some words that might make you uncomfortable. Too bad. Okay? I mean, he drops the bombs left and right. But to tell the story, what he went through, he can't just be passive. So I'd recommend, if you talk about fierce, David Goggins is on another planet.
Okay, and is Goggins a New Yorker by any chance?
Actually, I think he came out of Buffalo, New York, which, we in New York City, Long Island people don't consider New York, but it is technically New York. His attitude and his accomplishments and his pushing himself is on another freaking level. My game is so tame compared to this guy, and my guy's hair's falling out at the dealership with what this guy Goggins is all about. And his story was so damn dark. His story was from such a bad place, and where he was able to take this, becoming a Navy SEAL, becoming one of 36 African-American Navy SEALs, going through Hell Week 3 times, the only person on the planet to do it, running the Badwater Marathon, 135 miles in the middle of the summer, going up top of mountains. It's just outrageous what this guy's done. He's got the world pull-up record, and it's something like 4,000 consecutive pull-ups. You look at his hands, and they're down to bone and tendon. 4,000 consecutive.
Okay, but Brian, what gives somebody that mindset? Because you and I, we talk all the time, and it's like, Ben, you better be in it. Like when you're dealing at the levels that we're dealing with, and the people we're dealing with, and the crazy part is, for me, they're like all out of New York now. But it's like, it has forced me to take my game to another level, the prep to another level, the negotiation, the toughness, the poker face, the whole bit. It's like a 1 hour meeting in New York, and I'm like, damn, I've been through the fire and back,
It's just when you hang around with people that are, doing an exceptional job, whatever their craft is, I think it helps to up your game. I mean, I think it does. And whether that person's a stockbroker, a weather person, an actor, an actress, a waitress, a waiter, you've got to be at a certain level of that game when you're competing in a city like New York. I mean, everybody's fighting for every square inch of real estate. That's one of the great things about it being an island. It's finite. Some of these places, like Dallas, I think Dallas is a great city, but you could spread out Dallas infinitely. New York, you can't. You're an island, man. So you've got to go up, and every square foot of real estate they're fighting for. We're fighting for people's attention in that city against some of the most fierce competitors, the Apples, the Googles, the Amazons. Every square inch of competitions, the creative mindset, the artists. You're not just up against technology. You're up against people that just live it all day long.
All day long. And I mean, the city that it just doesn't rest.
My kids are going into a Radio City today, and the Radio City Music Hall is just such a fantastic place. And the event in Rockefeller Center, I don't think there's any place else in the world like that for Christmas.
Yeah.
And last night, as I went to the city, I had some dinner with some colleagues last night. You know, you could see all the people coming in, and there was traffic, and I'm sitting there going, gritting my teeth. And then I drive by the tree, and I say, no wonder. No one. This is amazing. I'm, 100 years old, and it's amazing. And my little Clementine's going to be going there tonight. And what is it like for a 4-year-old child to see the awe of
New
this?
York? But Brian, don't you think that it also, for your sweet little Clementine, doesn't that set an expectation? I mean, for the rest of her life, it's like. Could Clementine really ever move to Wichita, Kansas? Do you think?
I don't think so, man. No, she can't. I mean, it's shock and awe. Where do you go from there? But I will tell you about the New York magic from my perspective. Driving in as a kid from Long Island, and you go up over this ramp before you come into the Midtown Tunnel, and you go up over the ramp, and you see the city. And I can remember the first time I was in a car or driving there at about that age, and just being amazed at the profile and the horizon of Manhattan, the buildings. And guess what? I still feel the same way driving into that city. It's Gotham City, and I'm freaking Batman.
Okay, that's it. I was going to say, what else comes out of New York City, right? Gotham, Batman. But why don't we talk about someone you and I like to talk about quite a bit, and love him or hate him, I don't care. He is one pretty badass New Yorker, and that would be the man that sits in the White House.
Donald Trump. And so you and I were in the city. We were at Mellow on Madison Avenue, wasn't it? And Trump's motorcade goes by, and the badasses were there with the machine guns, hanging out the SUVs. I mean,
I'm like, Brian, we're on Madison Avenue. They're going to kill us.
I went to take a picture. I said, put that down, girl. You're going to get killed. Listen, I grew up, and he was a Democrat, and he was building New York. He saved New York City. And by the way, why don't people talk about this? Who did he hire to build Trump Tower? It was a woman.
The Russians. Let's just keep that rumor going.
It was a woman, and she was the first designer, engineer to build a major structure in New York, in New York's history. And nobody talks about that. That was in the 80s, before all the hashtag Me Too, and before they had to hire a woman. No, the guy was doing that. I watched the mayor of the city of New York, Mayor Koch, who I love, struggle to build an ice rink. Now, I'm a hockey player. It doesn't take 7 years to build a hockey rink. They couldn't build a Woolman rink in 7 years. Trump said, let me do it. Did it in 4 months. I mean, I watched him change the skyline. There's a great friend of mine. You met her on Saturday, Rachel, and we're runners. And she's
she's a beast too.
A wonderful woman, but she's completely on the left, right? And we're running on the west side. And I said, you see where we're standing right now? And she said, yep. I said, watch the video of Mike Wallace and Donald Trump in the 80s. This was a desolate wasteland. And Trump is being interviewed by Mike Wallace and says, what I'm going to build here are hotels coming down to a beautiful promenade, down to a beautiful waterway. I said, I want you to watch that, because that's exactly what it is. And it took many years for him to get that done. Many years. Every lawyer and every environmentalist fought everything, and it was a desolate wasteland where all sorts of bad things were happening. He took it over. He carried that $100 million property for years and turned it into that. I mean, again, I think he's being a little goofy right now in some of the things he says, but I admire what the guy did as a young man growing up in New York City.
And all of that, I think, and let me ask you this, because I've talked about this, and to go to New York and take a walking tour of Central Park with Brian Benstock, you really do learn a lot. Like I understand why the Dakota Building's called the Dakota Building, and walking through, and it's really brilliant. But do you think that that's why possibly, oh boy, we're going to get blown up? But I told everybody I'm coming back with a new mindset. We're going to be a little more controversial on this show. Do you think that's why maybe he's misunderstood a little bit?
He's not misunderstood. They're afraid of him, the right and the left, because he is a loose cannon. He does say things that are controversial. He has seen both sides of the aisle. He's seen it from the highest levels of businessmen. Remember, some of these Democrats that are going after him, he used to line their pockets for cash. So
Hillary,
he understands how the game is. But we have to be honest. He is a novice at politics. He's a novice at diplomacy, and some of that stuff really counts. I think he's careless with his words, and you and I were here on a little video, and we've got X amount of people watching, and we know enough to be cautious with our words. As the president of the United States, there's a grave responsibility there, and you don't want to offend people. Now, that doesn't mean that
I think you might have offended a couple people already this morning. Are you good with that?
Lisa, I am allowed to, I've got a flag over there, the American flag, and I'm allowed to speak my mind. opinion and my mind and my beliefs, and I don't take the ability for you to speak your mind and have your opinions away from you.
I know, and I mean, and God knows that you and I have some very different opinions sometimes. It makes for very great debate. And I do think that, and I'm getting kind of pulling it back to that New York state of mind because we got just a couple minutes left. But, I mean, do you think that, like, I think of your little Clementine, who's the cutest little 4-year-old cherub you've ever seen in your life. But, her expectations are set now. I mean, she comes in and out of Trump Tower, for God's sakes, and she's on Madison Avenue. I mean, how could a child, any child, I'm not just saying your child, but how could anybody leave that state of mind? Like, I can't imagine,
I think that intensity all the time is not really good for anybody. And, we live out on Long Island and there's green around us and there's water around us. It's really nice. But to have access to Manhattan and the proximity to Paragon, it's literally 2 miles away to get to the bridge and then another mile over the bridge. So, 3 miles away.
Okay, Brian, it's 3 miles, but it's 30 to 45 minutes in an Uber, depending on what type of day it is.
And am I supposed to complain about all the cars I put on the road? That's the job I'm in, girl.
Okay, can I tell you, every time I'm in New York, I always text Brian, I'm like, I'm in another Paragon Honda Uber. Every single stinking time.
You better believe it.
Every time. Like the last 3 times I've been in New York. And so here's me to the Uber driver. Well, hey, you need to trade this thing up? Why don't you take me over to Paragon for free and I'll get you a good deal on a trade-in.
There you go. Well, that's a good deal.
Okay, so Brian, as we wrap up this morning, because we're a 15-minute show, I want you to leave everybody with the Brian Benstock, which, again, you're one of the fiercest humans I know. 3 tips, 3 things that they could do today to be unapologetically fierce forever in business or in life. Your mindset, because you are the most, like I said, you're fierce, you don't quit, you make stuff happen. And
hey, Google, play Frank Sinatra's New York, New York.
Oh my gosh. Him and Google are having an affair. I just want to break that live.
Kelly. Here it is on YouTube Music.
The deal, and what I would leave with people, you've got to get a Google HomePod. The future is frictionless.
My apologies. I don't understand.
Hey, Google, stop. I'm hawking you, Google. I'm hawking you. Hey,
like, okay,
the future's frictionless, and you've got to get on board. And what's happened with voice technologies, it's now becoming voice and video. So you're taking 2 really incredibly powerful things and combining them. And I think we need to own that, especially in the automobile business, when we're trying to figure out how to place ads and what to do, to really use the F word, free, and to be able to get ourselves out in front of the largest audiences for free. What your show is doing is an example of that. But now, how do we do that when it comes to search and the businesses that we're in? 2, I think that New York state of mind can happen for somebody that's in Kentucky, right? We know our friend Glenn Lundy is from Paris, Kentucky, and he doesn't talk like a New Yorker, but he's got that attitude of, hey, I'm not going to let the fact that I'm in Kentucky prevent me from doing massive business. I think that's a New York's state of mind. And the last thing is that morning routine. The morning routine that we start now, that I think dictates and sets the pace for the rest of the day. And you've got the opportunity to control what happens to the day. What's your planner look like? What's your library look like?
I'm going to give our boy Glenn Lundy a little shout out. This is what my planner looks like.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool book. I mean,
nice.
He's coming to a dealership on Saturday to talk to the troops, and he's coming in to get a little New York state of mind. He's coming in, I think, tomorrow with his little girl, and we're gonna blow his mind because you guys are coming from out of town. You're going to Times Square. That's not New York, guys. Let me show you New York. Cipriani downtown Sunday. Now that's New York.
Or Bagatella or whatever it's called.
That's New York, okay? So we're gonna turn Lundy onto our version of New York, and again, all the other things. My daughter and I went to a museum. It's one of the oldest museums in the country in New York on Central Park West, and just amazing places and things to see. So hey, I welcome people coming out to New York. My automobile peeps come to the dealership, give you a tour, and point you in the right direction in New York City.
Well, Brian, as usual, you can get everybody fired up, but I just want to absolutely encourage everybody that, we're closing the year. This is your last chance to do something great, to do something big, and to close strong. You've got to get fierce. To be fearless, take initiative, have imagination, be enthusiastic, relentless, crush approval addiction, and execute. That's fierce. That's why the acronym was done. Brian Benstock, as always, it is a pleasure to speak to you and for you to get everybody fired up this morning. And if you want to follow Brian, he's on social media. Brian, what's your Twitter? Is it just at Brian Benstock?
Yeah, just you find me out there.
Yeah, he's out there. He's out there. He's everywhere.
The reality is, right? Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So let's go get some.
There you go. Wisdom from the top. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I will see all of you tomorrow. In fact, with our business spotlight, and I forgot about that. My guest tomorrow is Glenn Lundy. So we're going to talk about his New York state of mind because he will be on the show. So anyways, all right, Brian, go out and kill somebody. You know, go out and just do it, make it happen. How is Paragon going to close this year? Are we going to close in the top 3?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's it's really great. We've been kind of kicking everybody and whipping everybody on the team into, hey, where's this all going? And there's some great opportunities out there. Remember, in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity, and my guys and my gals are starting to see it, and we're finally getting to the point where they understand, okay, I can't be a farmer anymore. I got to be a hunter. I got to go out and get some. But when you're a hunter, you go out and get as much as you want. And that's really fun.
You heard it here first from Brian Benstock and Lisa Copeland. All right, everybody, take care. I'll see you tomorrow.
Please take care.
All right, bye.